Hello YouTube and welcome to another Proxmox tutorial. So in this video I'm going to show you how to keep the LXC host file and change it after reboot. So are you ready? Let's get started. So first thing first, let me explain you the issue that I have here on my Proxmox. Okay, so for example, let's create a container. So I will click on this button, create a container. Okay, here we go. So I can give him whatever name I want, for example Ubuntu LXC. Okay, so here I choose the password for my container here. So let's confirm it. Here we go, we go next. And of course for the template I will choose the Ubuntu 20.0.4. so it's just an example, so you can choose whatever distribution you want. So I will stick with the default. So for the storage I will keep here 8 GB. I will just choose one core, it's enough for this demonstration, and also 511, actually 12 megabytes. Okay, and for the network I can choose for example to have an IPv4. so I will choose that 100.80 for example, or 82/24, and I will also give it gateway. Okay, I don't use actually IPv6. Okay, so I will go next. And for example for the domain I will choose here the Google DNS. Here we go. Okay, so here we have all the values we needed in order to create our Proxmox LXC container. So I will verify everything is okay, so I will go finish. And now let's wait for our container, which has as number 123. Okay, as you can see here it has been created. So wait for the task. So the task is okay, so I get rid of this window here. So this is my container here. I will go to the console and I will actually start it. Here we go, the container are actually very fast. Here we go, let's use our credentials. So as you can see I am in. So in order to show you the issue, so let's view the content of our host file. So I will use for example nano or vi. So let's use nano, so that etc.hosts. Okay, so this is our host file. So here you can see that Proxmox has actually written some thing into this host file. So let's say for example you want to change this settings. For example you want to change host name for your machine here. Okay, so I will get rid of all this. So for example I will just rename it LXC 01 for example. Okay, so I will save that with Control X, save modified buffer. So I will hit yes. Here we go. So our file has been saved. Let's verify that. So I will just use here the cat command. Here we go, and you can see that indeed we have saved our file, host file here. So the name here that I gave is actually LXC01. But the issue here comes when we reboot this container. So let's reboot this container and see what we get. Here we go. So now the container will be actually rebooted. So let's wait for it. Here we go. It's gave me the login once again. So let's log on with same credentials as before, because we didn't touch it. Here we go, I am in. So let's now see the content of our host file. So remember we have actually put LXC01 as the host name. But as you can see here, Proxmox has actually assigned the default settings. Okay, so the host file here has been changed. So how can you actually prevent this from happening? Because maybe you are working in the environment and you made changes to multiple host files for your containers here, and you want to keep the changes. You don't want, if the LXC containers reboot, actually that the host file actually will assign the default one. So how can you do that? So actually it's pretty simple. So actually here, if you want to disable this behavior of Proxmox to revert back to the original host file, there is a trick that is pretty simple here. Okay, so first of all, let me close this editor here. Here we go. So the trick here is to create an empty file in the etc directory. Okay, so in order to create a file, you can use the command touch. So the touch command is very famous in Linux, which will actually create an empty file, and this file must has as name .pve, its hidden file .pve-ignore.hosts. Okay, so let's create this file in the etc directory of our container. Here we go. So let's verify it. So I will use here -a for all, which will actually show me also the hidden files. Here we go. Actually in the etc directory, here we go, and let's verify that the file has been created. So if we go up, and as you can see here, that pve-ignore.host file is actually created. Okay, so now let's change our host file in order to test that. So I will just change it to, for example, LXC01. Okay, I'll keep changes. Here we go. Let's verify that once again. Here we go. So now let's reboot our LXC container. So remember before that we have rebooted actually our machine, the host file hasn't changed. Actually has changed. Okay, but it hasn't changed, it has kept the default one. So now let's reboot it and try to see if Proxmox will keep actually the same hostname that I give in here, which is LXC01. Here we go. So the system is rebooting. Okay, we get the default prompt. Let's log on with our credentials. Here we go. So let's see now the content of our file, and hopefully it will be actually, the host name will be LXC01, and indeed it has kept the changes that we have made. Okay, so this is the trick that you want actually to use in order to prevent Proxmox for reverting back to the default setting of the host file of the LXC container. Okay, so that was just a brief video to show you how to prevent Proxmox for changing the host files of LXC containers. As always, I hope it has been informative for you, and I want to thank you for viewing. Bye bye.